a charity dedicated to creating a financially fluent population. They deliver expert-led, high-impact programs through schools and communities across the UK, bringing the language of money to life. From early money habits to lifelong financial resilience, Money Ready makes money make more sense. I'm pleased to note that Mr. Leon Ward is with us. Thank you very much for joining us on the Breakfast Show, the Voice of Islam.
Thank you. Thanks for having us.
Right. Is there a big demand for the services you offer?
Absolutely. The most common phrase I hear when we tell people what we do is, I wish we had that when I was young. I wish I had that now, and I wish my kids were having it. We find extraordinary demand for our services to help people understand their money because it's not yet woven into the curriculum or delivered in schools or through family life kind of consistently. So yeah, demand is always quite high.
Mm-hmm. And what financial habits, through your work, are you seeing among young people today? Is there a growing tendency towards live for today, forget about tomorrow? Is that kind of attitude prevalent?
I think that attitude can be prevalent, but I wouldn't say it's a negative one. They have to live for today because their incomes aren't stretching far enough. The average salary for someone under 25 years old is around £18,000 a year, but the average rent has gone up by about £400 per month more than it did before 2020. So you kind of have to live for today because your income doesn't stretch anymore for the future. And whilst we try and build good habits like budgeting and saving, that can be quite hard if the pay packet isn't big enough.
So you've got no choice.
You've got no choice. You have to think about it. Most people are living paycheck to paycheck. It's quite a large number of people that can't afford an unexpected £50 bill. Now, £50 is not a huge amount of money to lots of us, but it's a significant amount of money if you haven't got much money. And so, yeah, you have to live for now.
Okay. Many young adults say they find it difficult to save because of rising living costs, something we're mentioning, and economic uncertainty. How much of this trend do you think is being driven by genuine financial pressures and how much by changing attitudes towards money?
I think again, you've got a mixture here. There are genuine financial pressures on every household at the moment. It's been the talk of the day now for what feels like at least 3, 4, 5 years. Cost of living crisis that's been extended for 3 years, to me, isn't really a crisis. It's kind of bedded into the economy, as it were. And we know that house prices is one that listeners will relate to. But house prices cost more than 8 times the average annual wage, which is a significant increase from what it was 20, 30 years ago. And whilst wages have increased by about 36% since 2020, as I say, rents have gone up by 44%. So your cost of living is always outpacing your growth in earnings. Having said that, we do spot that children and young people do have changing attitudes toward money. They want to earn more. They want to save more. They still want to get on the property ladder. They want to save for later life, but they also want to enjoy life now. So, and I don't think actually that's different to lots of us. When we were young, we also had similar habits and behaviours.
Mm-hmm. You're mentioning house prices and you're mentioning rents quite a lot. Do you think that's the main factor that's affecting young people today in what they're able to spare to spend?
I think so. I think the proportion of your income that is spent on rent or on standard living is extremely high. And what that means is you don't have much left over for other stuff. So saving is a luxury for lots of people, especially saving for later life, which is, I think, the next pending economic crisis this country is going to have to face, which is that we don't have people saving enough for retirement. And whilst it's easy to, as your previous caller said, tell people to think about their future, what does that mean in practical monthly terms? So if I put £50 into a pension, what does that mean for my later life? Because that is the next ticking time bomb, I would argue.
Because the previous caller was saying that 12% of what you earn would just give you above a poverty line or at a poverty line income later
Yeah.
on. And
I think
12%
that's
is
the
quite a
point.
lot. 12% is quite a lot, I thought.
Yes,
Mm,
I think that's the point. Though the margins here
mm,
are relatively small.
mm,
I mean, the general rule for pension savings is half your age when you start, with a couple of percent, as you say. If you start young,
mm,
the less you need to put in for the rest of your life. But most people are not saving enough earlier on in their career for later life because the cost of day-to-day living is so high.
mm. What's that proportion you were saying? Half your age? What's the, how much did you save?
Yeah, let me. It's half your age. As a general rule,
Yeah.
what you want is a pension pot worth about 8 to 10 times of your annual salary. So that depends on how young you are when you start. But by the age of 30, you should have at least 1 times your current salary in your pension pot.
Mhm.
So, and as the sort of standard rule is just half your age. So if you start working at 20, you should put in 10%. If you start working at 30, you should put in 15%. And that can be yours and your employer's contribution. It doesn't have to just be yours alone. That can be the mix. The earlier you start, the less you have to pay in over time.
Okay, right. Um, um, what impact do you think are these gimmicks like buy now, pay later, and these kind of services? What impact do they have on the way young people view spending and debt?
Yes, I think one of the problems is you have access to it, even though they don't necessarily test your knowledge around how these products work. And buy now, pay later can actually be a helpful tool if you're very good at managing your finances, right?
Mm,
If somebody's going to give you a amount of money on 0% and you're going to keep your money in a savings account or invest in your pension or whatever to manage your cash flow, then that's fine and good. But what we spot is that most young people don't have the core skill set and education to be on top of their money like that. And my concern is that it's kind of, it's heavily unregulated actually buy now, pay later, because it's free, it's cheap flashed free credit going into the marketplace. And I think at a time of pressures on cost on incomes, government and regulators are sort of reluctant to stop that flow of free credit or low cost credit. Low cost if you don't make the mistakes of letting it build up. So I do think it's kind of a complex picture, but because people don't have the core skills, they're not staying on top of that ever growing amount of buy now, pay later. The trick remembering that pay later is the key bit. You have to pay, and it comes at some point.
mm, mm. Do you find that more young people are falling into debt because they don't understand fully, or they don't have the skills, or they haven't been given the skills of understanding what debt is?
I think that's definitely part of the picture, and buy now, pay later is a good example. We see 42% of UK adults are using those services. I mean, 42% of UK adults are using them to manage their incomes. I would say that you need good skills around managing your money and good knowledge, but you also need enough money. And you can be as financially educated and financially literate as you want till you're blue in the face, but it doesn't mean you've got enough money to then do all of the good habits that we try and teach. And in our world, when we're with young people, we just try and encourage them to think about starting any of the good habits that we know make a difference to people's lives.
Mm. What about social media? I mean, how significant do you think is the role of social media playing in shaping young people's spending habits and expectations?
Yeah, well, it's rife. I mean, the Financial Conduct Authority revealed that 62% of those aged 18 to 29 follow social media influencers, and 74% of them said they trusted their advice. And 90% of young followers were encouraged by influencers to change their financial behavior. So the data is clear that not only are they connected to these people on social media, but they're also encouraged to change their financial behavior. So that's when we're talking about kind of finfluencers, which is financial influencers. But any parent listening to this show will know that their children are influenced by what they see on social media, whether that's about unobtainable items that they think are really easy and cheap to get. The kind of money doesn't grow on trees, yet they all want nice cars, nice holidays, big houses abroad, knowing that that's unrealistic for most people. And we see lots of influencers talking about taking home mega money. The average salary in this country is £38,000. Like lots of children, young people think they're just going to leave school and earn £100,000 a year, and that just is not the reality.
Okay. Is social media playing a positive role? You seem to indicate that it's playing a negative role. It's not playing any positive role at all?
I think it is playing a positive role. I think we, lots of the influencers out there, so the financial influencers, are really good at spreading their message and tend to focus on positive money habits, things like budgeting, saving, borrowing appropriately, etc. So it is a mixed bag, but I would say that the consumer drive focus around social media is nearly always getting you to part with your money rather than keep your money. Generally, 9 out of 10 times, your interactions on socials are trying to get you to spend rather than save. So, but I do think actually the good thing is that there is more access to information than ever before now, whether that's in social or using AI or whatever tools. But you need the guardrails in place to be able to spot. And a good financial education will do this for you, where the advice might be wrong. And the general rule of thumb is, if it sounds too good to be true, then it almost definitely is too good to be true.
Yeah, and about practical steps, what do you think that, what practical steps do you think young people can take to build healthier financial habits and avoid impulsive spending?
Sure. Well, one of the really easy things to do is to take your last month's spending and split everything you spend into a column of wants or needs. So if you need them, so things like clothes, if you need new clothes, you could argue that's a one-cent need. Your rent is definitely a need. But in the wants column, you might be able to find some wiggle room around the money that you're spending. And if you can find any savings in your wants column, so perhaps eating out once less a month, or perhaps any other cuts that you can reasonably make, then you can do other things with that money. You could potentially save it. You could potentially pop it into your pension. As we've said, there are other things that you could do. So that's a sort of really practical, easy habit that anybody can start building as soon as they've stopped listening to this show.
Yeah, sure. Thanks for that plug. Do you find that your services are increasing in demand, or
Yes, we do. We find that what's really interesting about money lessons is everybody kind of wants them. Like lots of people are really keen to get on top of their money and to learn how the economy works and how markets work and to learn how different financial services and products work. And we think that that increase in demand is actually a good thing, because it means more people are looking at their financial picture and thinking, I need some help to get on top of this. And so we welcome that. The only challenge is trying to meet that demand is quite high.
And if people want to participate in what you're doing, is there a website that they can have access to?
They can visit moneyready.org. We're a charity, and if you've got young ones at home, there's something called our Big Money Lesson, which you can watch back in your household. We have also lots of resources on our website, on our knowledge base. And if you follow us on socials, we also give money tips, and you can find us at moneyready.org.
Moneyready.org. Okay, excellent. Thanks very much for coming on.
Thank you.
It's good work, positive work that you're doing, and I wish you all the best in the future. Thank you very much for coming in.
Thanks so much. Take care.
Thank you. Bye. Right. So that was Mr. Leon Ward, the Chief Executive of Money Ready, someone who advises young people on how to manage their finances. It's good.
That was an interesting conversation.
Oh, yeah. I think it's a very worthwhile thing that Mr. Ward is doing.